is Beverly Jones. I'm the secretary of City Island Rising.
Hi, I'm Kim Woodruff. I am the treasurer of City Island Rising.
So we're going to start tonight with the public comment period so that we don't run out of time for it. So we're going to dedicate a total of 30 minutes, and here's how it's going to go. So each person who wants to speak has something to say, something to share with us, something that they'd like us to be working on. Raise your hand. We'll try and get to as many people in the room as we can. And we're going to start with, everybody has 2 minutes to say whatever it is you want to say, and we're going to limit to about 5 minutes per topic so that we can make sure that we cover everything in the 30 minutes that we've got. Sound okay? Yeah? Any questions or concerns? Very good. All right, so, go ahead.
And Dan's going to be coming around with the wireless mic, so just try to use the mic so that we can make sure everyone in the room can hear. I know sometimes using a mic is like a little bit uncomfortable, but we want to make sure that anyone can hear in the room, not just the people who have like super great hearing or are close up.
And a special shout out to our people on the streaming. Okay. All right. Who's got something they'd like to talk about or share or question or concern? Yes, sir. Is it Michael?
Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Okay. It's here, Michael. Okay. Please stand with your seconds. Excuse me. All right. So I know a lot of people here. I'm Michael Morrison. And you know, the one thing I want to say is I'm coming to this meeting with great interest about the structure and the attitude really that's behind this group. I think, you know, the proactivity which is behind the group, and the notion, you know, in City Island Rising, all boats rise, you know, together. I like both of those things quite a lot because, particularly in a divisive kind of picture. But I think I'll represent myself. You know, I'm interested in what's going on, but I think from my prior experience, I'm needing to choose to limit myself somewhat to a couple of things because I'm kind of getting interested in everything and then I get fragmented. Is this happening? So just to announce the two things. One is increasing voter participation, which is not so much a City Island issue per se, but it's an issue everywhere. And I have a website, but we put it up before the last election. It's called www.increasing voters. And it's a little kind of slack right now, not much happening. But we're going to build it up again next year. And I really found that probably the best feeling I have about any contribution I personally made, along with people that I've worked together with, is that there are a lot more younger people who are involved in the political process. And realizing that civic participation is extraordinarily important in the future. You know? So I'm going to be aboard that and try to work with some other people. When I set up my website, I had a connection with different people around the U.S. And the second thing that I think I'm very concerned and I feel like I can be a part of, mostly contributing kind of information, and that's about the environment. You know, that it's something that, as a City Island boat rising thing, which is almost ironic, you know, because the boats are going to be rising, you know, and that's a dilemma and a crisis that we all have to kind of look squarely at, you know. So here, as a community that's threatened by rising water sometimes, it's very daily that we can look out there and say, hey, you know, we got to do something about this and we got to do it now. So I do know I'm fortunate enough to. My best thing in life is I meet a lot of people who I think are extraordinary people, and they're doing a couple of environmental projects that I think are shakers and mover kind of projects. And so I know about these things, I kind of keep in touch with these things. One is the thing in the courts, with children suing the government for not protecting them by becoming involved in fighting climate issues and environmental issues, called Our Children's Trust, coming out of Oregon. And the other one comes from a guy from New York State and his wife, extraordinary couple, and it's called Pool City Challenge, which is being enacted in California, which is really, in this city island's a place it could be enacted.
That's great. You know, so one of the things that we've got on our list that we've been talking about internally is pulling together a panel that's going to include some information about a New York City CERT team and OEM, and also talking with NOAA about flood and disaster prevention. It would be great for you to bring those resources when we have that panel. That would be excellent.
Okay.
And then as to your other point, it might not be a bad idea, and I don't know if you know where we can get them, to get voter registration materials and just have them available at our meetings for folks who might not be registered
Right
yet.
online.
I'll do that. I'll bring it in.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stephanie.
We'll make it.
Fantastic.
Can I make one
Thank
point
you.
about that?
Yeah.
It's for Stephanie to know.
Quickly.
You can do it online.
Like one of our alliances over this last few years is with this indivisible group in Riverdale called Northwest Bronx Indivisible. Now they have done an extraordinary thing working with the League of Women Voters. They are very organized for several years. You know, so they've been doing weekly, and these. I don't know what the status is now, but they do voter registration stuff and education. So they're our primary source for knowing how to get something up and moving.
Excellent. Great idea.
Okay.
Thank you for leading us off, Michael.
Okay.
Okay, who else has a topic they'd like to talk about? Yes.
I just wanted to first acknowledge John for helping on our project that we just started, the Marine Street condo area on Marine Street, next to Town Cove. The property there is suspended as to its build, but the growth has taken off. And it's like the Amazon jungle there now, and tidal debris has come up, and some of the residents at Pilot Cove are unable to use their beautiful yard because of the debris, the size of the debris, and the bugs and the mosquitoes. So we just initiated it. John's helping me with it. And I sent off a letter to the manager of the property, and we'll be escalating it. So I'll keep you up to date on that project. But I want to acknowledge John for helping with that.
Excellent. Great. Thank you, John.
We do have a special guest, but I know she's got to leave early. Maybe she wants to stay there. Mary Ann Joyce from Senator Biaggi's office is here, and if she would like to come up and address us real quick.
Great.
A little bit of an interspace here, but
Of course.
people get ready, keep those questions coming.
Come up front.
Yeah, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Hi, as John said, my name's Mary Ann Joyce. I'm with State Senator Alessandro Biaggi's office. It's nice to be here. I don't have a lot to say, just as you all probably know, the legislative session ended. It was a very busy legislative session. A couple of things that the senator is very proud of is passing the sexual harassment legislation to protect folks at work, is strengthening the legal rights around folks who get harassed in the workplace. And another thing that's hopefully going to have a positive impact on City Island and other coastal areas is passing the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. So I just want to flag those two things. We did send out a legislative update last week. If you didn't get the email, feel free to give me your email address and I can add you to our email list. Other than that, I'm with the constituent services team. If folks have concerns they want to bring to our attention, need help navigating city or state agencies, please feel free to give us a call, 718-822-2049. We are moving. We've been in the Hutchinson Metro Center, and we are moving. We're trying to get an office both on the west side of the Bronx and on the east side. Right now we have a place in Riverdale. We're still working on getting a place on this side of the Bronx. But we do have satellite offices, and we do mobile office hours. I'm at CB10 once a month. So even when we move to Riverdale, before we get our office here, please feel free to reach out if we can be of help. Sure.
I'm a realtor. If you need help finding something on the east side of the Bronx, please
Okay.
let me know.
All right. I'm not on the real estate committee, but I'll pass it along. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, thank you. And I have cards if anyone wants my card.
Okay, excellent, thank you so much. Any other items for discussion of public comment? Everybody's totally happy, there's nothing on your mind, perfectly happy, satisfied, nothing to complain about. All right, well then, we fixed all the problems. We actually do have some pretty cool updates for later on. I don't want to cut the public comment period short, but if folks are happy, yeah, that's a good idea. We'll just add a couple minutes on to the end.
Yeah.
And we'll move
I
on
have
to
a
our.
happy, it's not a concern, it's happiness.
I would love some
I'd like to
happiness.
share.
Excellent.
On July 19th, at the Harlem Yacht Club, and all the new people, this is part of the Welcoming Committee too, I'm having a tribute to Billie Holiday, because she'll be gone 60 years, July 17th. She's buried at St. Raymond's. And I hope you can come. It's at the Harlem Yacht Club, July 19th, Friday. That's,
What time is it?
oh. Oh, cookie, okay. 6:30 to 11. Come, great singer. Come and dress a little bit. It's Billie Holiday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stephanie, can you make sure that flyers on the bulletin board outside of Dan's shop if it's not there already?
No, it's not there. I will do that.
Thank you very much. Excellent. All right. Any other news, happy or otherwise?
Oh. Just one thing.
Yes.
Just so everyone knows, Senator Biaggi is actually going to be our special guest next month in August. So mark your calendars. August 8th, Senator Biaggi will be with us. We're not going to be here because we're anticipating a big crowd for that. We're going to be at Man Overboard. And he just got his C of O, so he's going to put out some food for everybody. Everyone should be really happy. It's going to be a very nice event. So mark your calendars, August 8th, Senator Biaggi. We're going to get the flyers out the next week or two.
Beautiful. All right. Okay. It's, I don't see John here.
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Louisa, I'm a board member. I have the first update, which is, at the last meeting, if you were there, someone suggested we reach out to the Waterfront Alliance. I'm not sure if you remember that, but due to a series of very fortunate events, we were able to easily contact them. John and I actually got on a phone call with the point person from Waterfront Alliance, and they do a lot of amazing work. They go discuss like waterfront education, to resiliency, to zoning. So to make a long story short, they're going to come out here and do a tour of City Island, do a review and do a study, and then hopefully by the end of the year or something, they'll come here and do a presentation for us on that. So it's really great, and the person we were talking to, her name's Karen, but she was very enthusiastic throughout the whole conversation, so we'll keep you posted on that.
Thank you to whoever suggested making that connection, because it's the ideas from you guys that tell us what the community wants. And so, that was an awesome suggestion from a prior meeting, and keep the suggestions coming, because it's a lot of times it's these meetings that start the flame going, that creates some good stuff.
All right, so I'm going to talk briefly about an update on our UTK. If you know or don't know, the UPK that was on the island, being housed at St. Mary's and run by Holy Rosary, is no longer in existence going forward. This was upsetting to a lot of parents in the community of younger children, but just as the community as a whole, having UPK really adds to our community. It makes it a place where we can have our kids going to pre-K right here on the island, which is something that everyone, I think, really wants. So the bad news is that it doesn't look likely that we will have UPK on the island this coming year. We're trying some kind of Hail Mary attempts to get it going. But the good news is that everyone that we've spoken to in terms of the DOE and different politicians in the area that represent us have all been very supportive of the idea that we get our UPK back. So they're pushing very hard. So we're hopeful that we will get UPK back in place for the following year. There is an RFP out all over the city soliciting UPK applications from different, anybody can submit to be a UPK provider. So if you have a connection with a facility that already provides UPK somewhere and they're interested in having a UPK facility on King Island, that would be a great opportunity. Even in-house UPKs are an option, so there are a lot of opportunity here on the island. When I spoke to the DOE representative, one of the things that they said is that enrollment was not an issue and not one of the reasons behind the closure. And the DOE was not behind the closure either. It was Holy Rosary and St. Mary's somewhere in that grouping that resulted in the closure. So somebody could successfully run a UPK here on the island if they were interested.
I have a question. When my kids were in PS 175, there were over 500 students in the school. They now have a little over 300. So you're down about 180 kids. So why can't they do pre-K at PS 175?
175 is one of the options we're looking into. So far, they've said that they don't have the space. We're going to have a new principal. New leadership could mean a difference in how this is handled, so there's really no telling what could happen. Unfortunately, we're a little bit in flux at this point. We won't have a permanent principal in place until after they go through the whole hiring process, so we're going to have an interim in place for the foreseeable future. So it's a little tough to get something going there, but that would be, at least from my personal perspective, the absolute best case scenario is to just get those kids into PS 175 from the very beginning. And I think everyone would really love that, and it would be better for the school, and it would be better for the kids, and it would be better for the families. So I definitely believe in that. It's not our official position, but it's my official position, because I have an official position. So that's definitely something that I would love to see. If they don't have the space, I had asked them if there was a possibility that 175 could run a UPK out of another space on the island, and I wasn't told no. I wasn't told definitely yes, but I wasn't told that that's against the rule. So that's another thing we could look into as well. But we're just kind of, unfortunately, it's like a very bad time of year. We got this news of the UPK closing pretty late in the year, and then we got we're a little bit like having difficulty figuring out getting to the right person to figure out, because the UPK is not, it's kind of in this gray area because it's not, the facilities are not always run directly by the DOE. So you have the DOE facilities, then you have the DOE schools with pre-Ks, and then you have the pre-Ks that are run outside of the schools. So it's very weird gray area that's kind of hard to navigate. Fortunately, I spoke to somebody who was very close to the situation from the DOE, and she was equally frustrated to me that the program closed because it was news to them. It was done at the last minute, and it wasn't their decision. So they were upset by it as well because they had to scramble to find places for those kids who had applied.
Do you know how many kids were in that program? Do you have a number?
I asked that and she wasn't sure, but she did say that, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but there was like 3 kids that they weren't able to place in one of their choices, maybe because they didn't put a second choice, and everyone else was able to put into a program. But the problem is most people kind of put other programs just as like a whatever. They didn't really think that it was even a possibility that they would be sending the kids to another school. So it was pretty frustrating for everyone. It's sad that it kind of happened this way. We don't really know exactly why it happened, but we're going to keep working really hard to make sure that we're back on track with the UPK. Because every neighborhood in the Bronx, or every neighborhood in the city is supposed to have a UPK, and we should have one too. All right.
City bike things are all docked, which means that there's docks all over the place, and you take your key and you stick it in the dock, and it releases the bike to you, and then when you go to bring a bike back, you dock it in some other dock. And all of these other systems that they're doing, Jump and Lyft and Lime and whatever, not Lyft, whatever, they're what they call dockless, which means the bikes have some kind of a GPS thing on them, and you basically just leave them laying around somewhere, and there's an app on your phone, and you unlock it with the app on your phone, and you take it and you leave it somewhere, and that's what's going on.
Yeah.
Since you've graciously given me the mic, can
Yes.
I editorialize a little bit?
Oh, go for it.
I'm actually a huge fan of City Bike. I used to take City Bike like every single day. I used to get the train into Grand Central. My office was in Chelsea, and I took City Bike every single day, pretty much all year round. What I find disturbing about these dockless things is that it's not one uniform system, which means so right now with City Bike is all one system. So I could take a City Bike and pick it up in Brooklyn, and I can ride into Manhattan, wherever I can go within the 45-minute limit. This is not going to be the case with these dockless things. And with the experiment that they're running now, there are a whole bunch of little fiefdoms, but even when they at some point turn this into a production system, there will still be divisions between the systems. There will be City Bike here, and there will be Jump there, or whatever. And if your trip that you want to take starts in City Bike land and ends in Jump land, you'll not be able to just grab a bike and go from one place to the other. So I'm kind of a mixed mind here. While I love to see more bikes happening, I'm kind of not excited about the fact that it's not all going to be one uniform system in the city.
Okay, and I respect that point of view, but again, even the biggest journeys start with the smallest steps. So even though this is probably not going to be entirely satisfactory, Jump Bikes, which is run by Uber, they have a fiefdom, as I like the way you put that, in the Central Bronx. And their, for lack of a better term, their pilot program contract is coming up to a close. And people are taking the Jump Bikes and coming out into Pelham Bay Park, the largest park in the city of New York, remind your friends. And we do have brand new bike lanes through there, through Quad City, through elsewhere, and they are utilizing it here. So what they have asked is for the groups in Community Board 10 and advocates to support them getting an extension of their pilot project and hopefully getting more out into the outer communities, the coastal communities where we are. So since we all kind of want more bikes here, and I don't really consider it a controversial motion, I would like to make a motion that we write a letter of support from our organization to Jump Bikes, that we support them extending their pilot program, and probably be a letter to the DOT. But the basic communication is that we support it, we want to, and I'll answer your question just a minute. We support it, we want to see the pilot program continued and expanded. Olga, you had a question?
For those of us who are bike-phobic,
Yes.
I would suggest somebody talk about a tricycle.
Okay.
Because I think that has some traction, just like it's
Mm-hmm.
and therefore may actually increase ridership.
Okay.
And delivery service is utterly not available
take that into consideration. So if I can just see a show of hands, is everybody in favor of writing a letter to get jump up? Peter, go ahead.
No, I'm in favor.
You're in favor, okay. Is that all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Debbie, you're a guest.
Well, I just wanted to say, like with the dock list.
Yeah.
I'm finding them just randomly just placed here, placed
Okay.
there. They should be locked to a bike rack, maybe
Okay.
a traffic sign. There's gotta be something because it's just randomly just being left anywhere.
Okay.
I'm going to add a little bit to that too, because I actually have seen it in Virginia, in Old Town.
Yeah.
It's a big program down there.
Yeah.
And what happens is, they're like there's like scooters and stuff. They leave them on paths that they can't come and collect them and
Okay.
stuff. So some of it is it's got its good points and its bad points. So I kind of agree with her there. So
Okay.
you know, we saw stuff on stuff that nobody could go and pick them up, and you'd never know they were there. I mean, they have these definitely have trackers on them, but they're not going on a path where they have to walk like more than halfway through a park to get to it.
So, this is a great conversation, and I think that if the pilot program continues, maybe what we do is we circle back to this topic, maybe we calendar it to circle back to it in 6 months, 9 months, and have a more fulsome conversation about how the pilot program's going after we kind of express this, desire for people to be using these bikes here, and we can talk about what kind of feedback maybe we want to collectively provide about how they can make their program even better. Does that work for folks? Yeah?
And also, they are willing, they couldn't come this month, but they were out of town, but they are willing to come back and do a presentation for you guys. And that's a lot of fun because they bring the bike with them, and people can actually get on the bike and ride around. It's a fun time. Abby. Funding history?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, you got it. Funding. So, Roy, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I just want to tie together the last two topics. I think with the bikes, whether they're city bike or jump or whatever, or your own bike that you own, where they really work is when they're sort of like the last mile. To tie together the bikes and the Metro North stuff. I think one of the messages that we should give to the Metro North people and to the bike people is that there should be a bike presence at the train station. Because certainly I could see, the train station is going to be over in Co-op City. It's about like 2 miles from here. I can certainly see people, if you could grab a city bike or an orange Lime or whatever jump bike here on the island and ride it over to the train station and leave it at the train station and then do this first thing in the other direction. Then those two modes of transportation are sort of like merged together into something that gets you in hand. That's the kind of stuff that we should be pushing.
Excellent suggestion. I wrote it down, and we'll try to incorporate that into the support letter we sent. So thank you for that. So we're going to leave Patrick here, who's going to do a short presentation in a minute, closing out the community announcements, because I did advertise that we were doing a big City Island announcement. So I just wanted everyone to know that I know a lot of what we are dealing with, and a lot of what we were doing is dealing with a lot of traffic safety things. The daylighting of the corners is taking place on Pell. It's getting worked out now on Schofield Street. But people have been coming about really problematic intersections for some time in our neighborhood. And there are two that I think are probably the worst. One is Pilot Street and City Island Avenue.
Yes.
And I'm aware of that. I've written probably a dozen letters over the years about there not being a light there. You have Scavellos, you have the homes for developmentally disabled, the church, the theater group, everything else, the parking lot. That one is something that's very concerning, and we're going to continue to work on that. But the other intersection we get a lot of complaints about, and everyone knows this, is Bound Street and City Island Avenue, Maria said it. And that, because of the way the Seafood City parking lot is pitched, you're kind of taking your life into your hands because they're coming out, you're going on the avenue, there are visibility problems. It's a very sharp curvature on City Island Avenue right there. So Joanne Valletta, who's on our board, or on our steering committee rather, this has been something that she has cared about, and a while ago she and I got together and we put in a request to the DOT asking that it be examined. for a traffic light. And today, we got word that a traffic light has been approved. So there will be a traffic light, and then, putting on that, it's the first, I'm waiting for the article, and I've shared it on our Facebook page. It is the first, there's an article written back in 1984, and it says at that point there were only 4 traffic lights on City Island. We all know this. It's Winter Street, it's Fordham Street, it's Ditmars, and it's Cross Street. So even though we had that temporary one for the bridge, this is the first permanent traffic control in 30 years. So very big. You all helped with this, so thank you so much. And I know we're all concerned about development that's going on there, that's concerning to all of us, and additional traffic going in there. It's clearly going to be a high volume location. So I want to thank the DOT Borough Commissioner, Navarro Lopez, who I've been persistent on for this matter for a long period of time. So thank you, sir. And I think this is another good example that, you know, if you have something in the meetings and you're not sure, because I remember in the particular meeting Joanne and I were at, this was not really the topic of discussion. It was a larger discussion about nightlife. And she came up to me afterwards. We put in the request. And sometimes good things happen in the room, they happen outside the room. So always feel free to come to me, come to Beverly, come to Kim, come to David, come to Louisa, Teresa, Dan, David's son over here even. And if you have a concern, just let us know. You know, we're all here to help you. We all share a commitment to trying to make this a better place for everyone. So this is a good example of that. It's a nice announcement. You know, between this and the daylighting, we've had some good safety improvements for City Island Avenue. We want to continue along this venture. So thank you. And Patrick, you're up.
You win.
Sir, I built them up for you, sir.
Hello everybody, it's Finish Early tonight. It's don't go until 9 o'clock usually. Not today. So here's my cheat sheet. So what I think this is a follow-up to what I was talking about, what I talked to you about before, and now I've worked on a document that is very user-friendly, that really will help you get your head around what we need to do to make things happen in City Island. And I'm talking about the environment and the roads and the Department of Transportation and the Department of Environment and 311. It's like a triangle of effects there that you can really do what you need to do. But the point that I made last time when I spoke to you very briefly was, because of the community spirit that we have here on City Island, I think it's really, we have an incredible opportunity to come together and to make things better. And you know, because I've sent out a lot of requests, a lot of complaints, and it's just one person. And I've noticed other people doing it too. If we all come together, we identify a problem, whether it be on some kind of road entity or anything really to do with the Department of Transportation. By the way, Department of Transportation is a misleading name. It's not just the Department of Transportation. It should be renamed like Department of Roads and Transportation. Yeah. Then you really got a good idea of where they're coming from. But this document that I'm holding it in my hand here, it tells you what to do. You identify something, you share it with people, as many people as you possibly can, and then you go onto their website, and you've got a whole bunch of pictures, and then down the bottom, you've got something that comes up here. It's right here on the document that I'm going to share with you, and it says, file a complaint. It couldn't be any easier than that. When you toggle on that one, it links you down into a whole bunch of other things. And then, so you're not really sure what they all are, it does a nice description. Now those things that I'm talking about, I'll just read them off to you because my memory is not that great, so I'll just read them off to you. And so the things are cave-ins, hummocks. Anybody know what a hummock is? I didn't, so the description is right there. And ponding, I have that. Nancy and I are right across the street from us. I was thinking of buying feeder fish to get rid of the mosquito lot because there's always water there. So, missing manhole covers, that's a pretty obvious one. Street hardware defects, we have one of those right outside the house next to us as well, and I've seen a kid come up his bike because of that. It's why they didn't finish off the pipe. There's a big dent there in the road. So you have to know the terminology. And defective street cuts, that's like work being done on the street and not really done well. and then an open streetcar, that's work being done and not finished, and they just sat there with the thing all the way around and stuff, cars going down it. And of course, everybody's favorite, or not so favorite, potholes. So, and we've got a ton of them around City Island. We all know the pothole population. It's everywhere. My least favorite of them all is when you come off the traffic circle and you come up.
Oh, yeah.
I go right into the lay-by, and people are looking at what's that guy over in the sidewalk? And everybody's doing it because that never fixed it. Now let me finish up. So you go there and you click on it and it walks you through a whole list of what to do. It seems to me though, what is the easiest way to do, I don't know how well it works, but every one of these, if it doesn't work for you, call 311 and go through that process, and you can talk to a living person that's not a robot, and is not, and then you don't have to go through the whole process of their really not well designed website and all the components. I've done it, so I know how it is. It's not perfect, but 311 will do it. So what you do is you just go there and you let people know, I'm going to send you this so you can see the process. And the great thing is this, I'll show you now a little cheat sheet that you're going to get. Alongside even every one of these little tips, like a cave-in, for example, a hummock. The pictures of what they represent are right there on their website. You can't see them right now, but you'll see them when I mail this out to you through John. In fact, John was going to give me the go-ahead, whether he made common sense. Yes? No?
Yes, common sense. Go for it.
Good, good. So this is what, the reason I brought this is what you're going to get. And I think this could really help a lot to get the ball rolling. And where I started out with this little presentation is, we already have the community spirit running in City Island. So if we come together, identify a problem, come together, pound it on the DOT, I think we got a chance of making it happen. I actually did achieve 2 just by my little old self. So it is possible. I think it would be a lot more impact if we just compound the effect.
And I didn't want to steal Patrick's thunder, but we are going to make sure everybody signed the sign-in list. We are going to email out. He actually put together a very thoughtful presentation, so we're going to email that out and put it on the Facebook and the Twitter so everybody can see it. So thank you, Patrick. Here, well, you got to send me your latest version too, but yes.
Can I just say one thing about that? If folks want us to follow up on a complaint to the DOT, feel free to reach out to our office. We do need that ticket number. So what we've been told by all the city agencies, whether it's DOT or somebody else, once you have a ticket number, then we can follow up with the agency on time, like you put in if you're not getting a response.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Marianne. Sure. Ellen has something in the back. Ellen, go ahead.
I just have a question.
Sure.
Have you figured out how to deal with 311 when you don't have an address? So you're trying to report the pothole on the road, and you can't give them an address.
That's one of the flaws in their approach. So what they do is absolutely, if you have an address and you're willing to put it there, and there's one down there, but talking about that big problem down by the traffic circle coming up, there's no address there. And I've got a Google Earth and I put the identity down there, it doesn't do it. They want an address, literally. There's no house there, I'm supposed to do it. But what they do have is an intersection between Orchard Street Avenue, whatever the hell that thing is called, going up to Orchard Street, and then City Island Avenue. Somewhere in between those two is the problem. That's the best they can do. They need to modernize it so you can put in that address from Google, map, go right to it, and then they'll know where it is. But so far they haven't done it. And the other thing is, they really like, I forgot to mention it, again, it's on my list there. You can take pictures of the problem and post it to their site as well, so they can see exactly what the problem looks like.
Thank you, Patrick.
Before we move on to the open questions, does anybody have any more questions related to the 311 and submitting 311 as for the DOT? Okay, please. All right, so now we're going to have our promised period of open comments again, just same rules as before. So if anybody has anything to say, please raise your hand.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay,
This has been a pet peeve of mine, I guess, for quite a few years. Mr. Doyle has written a letter.
Yeah.
Probably about a year and a half now, to the DOT. It has to do with the possibility, the probability of a head-on collision coming off the Hutchinson Parkway going south, or suddenly you find yourself as you're heading towards coming off the exit, suddenly there's somebody driving in the roadway right at you. And I've really analyzed that because it affected me when I had kids in the back of my car a couple of times. I spoke randomly to people, and everybody I've spoken to has experienced this. And it happened the other day again, where suddenly there were two cars coming at me. And luckily they're on the other side of the road. I've kind of figured out that when you get onto that wrong side of the road, they tend to move out to the outside of the curb, so I kind of try to stay on the inside, generally. But, yeah, something bad's going to happen there. And it's really easy to fix. It's so easy. It's a question of the signage being in the wrong place where people are getting, coming off and then flipping around to get back on. They get on the wrong side. And it's a question of the signage and perhaps some of those simple rubber stanchions that you see all over the place to force them forward where they have to continue down further, and then they will have to see the sign that is over there where they are.
I followed up on the letter because you and I went out there, we checked it out together, we wrote the letter, we sent it to them. I followed up them last about 2 months ago, and I'm going to be following up with them again now. So, and hopefully we're going to have someone senior from DOT here at an upcoming meeting. We're not trying to stack these meetings with too many guests too soon. We have, as we said earlier, Senator Biaggi is going to be at the next meeting. After that, we're going to have Senator Benedetto. He wants to come. He's been involved with the UBK effort, so he would be a good guest to have. He's also Louise's dad. We are also going to have other guests that are, you know, educational, and DOT is a big one. And the nice thing is, before they come out, they usually look at all the requests they've got in the community to make sure they have answers. So I think him coming is a very good thing. And I will follow up with you personally on the Hutch complaint, because it is bad, and we need to solve it.
I have one other quick question.
Yes, sir.
Wow, I've got you all at my disposal.
Go for it.
Does anybody seem concerned about the intensity of speed at night on City Island Avenue? Anybody here besides myself?
Yeah.
Is there a possibility of short of putting a cable across the road? I think that would probably go to jail for us. But what about some form of speed bump, perhaps? Clearly marked speed bump to
Just on the
cross
actual
Needle.
on
The reason, and I'm sorry to the reason they don't put speed humps on the main road is because they don't put speed humps on bus stops. If their bus runs, the bus kind of destroys the speed hump, and actually, believe it or not, if they're going slowly, it's difficulty getting over the speed hump, believe it or not. So they don't put speed humps on bus routes. Okay.
Okay, so directly to that issue, and personal to me. A couple of years ago, as I was coming home, in the proper lane on the right-hand side, right in front of the temple, I got hit head-on with an automobile that sent me unconscious into the hospital, okay, and created all kinds of not nice things in terms of my life. And they never caught him. It was a hit and run, and he just left. Okay, so I have to confirm with you that issue about speeding in that sector and going down the center lane at that level is a major hazard, and it's not something that we dream up. I lived through it, and I would like nobody else to have to do that.
Thank you. Yes, miss.
What are the possible on stop signs or pedestrian crossings?
Where exactly?
Pedestrian crossing.
Yeah. They only put the pedestrian crossings at a controlled intersection. So that's one with where they have the light and everything else. But you know, we will have one more. Yeah.
I have a question about that.
Go ahead.
What about the bike crossing between the traffic circle at the island? There's a bike pedestrian crossing there. And I saw some like 12-year-old boys who were trying to cross on their bikes at the correct spot, and nobody stopped for them. I stopped going one direction toward the traffic circle, they were not stopping. And the kids were just sitting there trying to cross the street on their bikes. They were just stuck. And people were just flying through. They didn't even notice them.
Is there a sign?
There's a sign, but
People in
I'm
the
a-
office obey the signs.
right. They just, they're just doing their own thing.
I don't think most people, island visitors or residents, understand yield when you get down to the traffic circle. To be honest with you, I don't think it's a differentiation. No matter where you come from, no one seems to get the yield. So.
That is an example of one that's
If people have individual, I was letting the referendum go, but if people have individual DOT complaints like this one, let's get them all together. We'll put them into one email and we'll send them over. And
I have a question back here,
Let me ask a follow-up question.
Yeah, and then-
Is the speed camera that is installed near PS 175, is that active all like 24/7?
No. Right now it's a temporary speed camera. It's on the van, and you know this because the minute that the van is out there on social media, everyone starts posting photos of the van, which kind of is self-defeating in purpose. But we are supposed to get an update about that being made permanent. The Assemblyman's office is in touch with DOT trying to get us an update. Yes, dear.
I saw a solution in a small community where they have a life-size photograph of a kid by the road, and you think it's a kid, so people actually slow down. And they have several of these. So you think so, but although you told me a story about this kid with a bike, but it's we need to think of creative solutions.
You're right. You're right. And I think having the commissioner here will facilitate that creative dialogue that I think we all want. Reverend.
I'm just wondering, since you can't put a speed bump across City Island Avenue because it's a bus route, I'm wondering if a speed bump could be put just on the fire lane alone and not across the whole.
I mean, I've never seen one in a fire lane, and the other issue is that the fire lane is for the fire truck to go at very high speed to rescue people. So I don't think they can do that. Again, this is why we need creative approaches like what Ola said, and that's why we are. Yeah, I mean, that's why we are, trying to, as Beverly pointed out, trying to get the speed camera near the school, because we do recognize there's a problem. Everyone recognizes that. And the hope is that if we get the camera there, eventually we know that expanding that even further. Because these cameras, they just went, and this is something that the, Senator Biaggi and the Assemblyman are doing this year, so much got done. We kind of forget all the different things. But we're going from 150 speed cameras throughout the city to 750 speed cameras. So and virtually every school is going to be covered. And, unfortunately, because we are on the outskirts of town, sometimes we feel forgotten. So that's why we've been in touch with our state elected officials to really push this for us now that we are in the discussions in the room. And this young lady, chance to ask a
I'm not
question.
trying to change the conversation, but what's going on with Rodman's Neck pollution that we get every day? I can't even work from home. I get on the phone like, what is going on over there? Like, all day.
The reason I was smiling is just this is like something I actually do work a lot on, and I'm glad it's coming up again because I sometimes hear from people, well, I don't hear it, so it's not a problem. And I said, just because you don't experience the problem doesn't mean your neighbors don't experience the problem. We all have to look out for one another. Where we are with that, and Marianne from the Senator's office actually helping me with this, we put in a FOIL request on behalf of the Precinct Council. I'm the Vice President of the Precinct Council. Asking them that we wanted all the sound meter readings, and we wanted to see what they're doing for lead abatement. Because it's a very funny thing. We go to Rodman's Neck to meet with them every so often, and they'll talk to you about lead abatement, but they'll never hand you anything in writing. And as anyone who's ever worked in government will tell you, when someone wants to talk about something but won't give it to you in writing, the red flags and then the sirens are going on here. So where we are right now is that they are supposed to come back. There's already been an RFP went out, which is a request for proposal. The vendor has been selected. I will put an update on the Facebook page, but basically what's going on now is that I think they have until the end of next year to start construction. There's been a very heavy emphasis from all our elected officials, from the councilman to the assemblyman to the senator, all of them, that the #1 priority is sound abatement. Even to put up temporary stuff now, because it is overbearing, and the automatic weapon fire that they do now was not what they used to do in the 90s. So it actually has gotten a lot worse. Back in the days, you could close your windows, it'd get a little musty, kind of like it is in here right now, but you would not hear it. Now, even when your windows are closed, even if you have the highest proof windows you have, it's still really bad. So I get it. You are 100% right. I would like to get your information afterwards. We actually are going to have a monitoring committee meeting. We have a Rodman's Neck monitoring committee. So we do meet seasonally with the NYPD's Capital Division and with a few other folks to try to get updates on these things. But we're also not just accepting what they give us at face value, and that's why we've been foiling. And the senator actually is going to help us get more concrete answers with possible lead contamination. So this is something we very much care about, and I want to thank you for bringing that up.
John, can I ask a question? Has anybody approached Commissioner O'Neill? I know there was lots of noise when Commissioner Bratton came in to City Island. But the truth is, O'Neill's the one who has a pre-fact focus on neighborhood relationships. And it seems to me that we should try and take advantage.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, he came for a town hall a year and a half ago in Pelham Bay. And if everyone remembers, back in 2014, I was the one who approached Bratton and put him on the spot with this. So I guess one of his staff had tipped him off as to who I was. So he's like, yes, Mr. Doyle, it's like Rodman's Neck, we're working on it. We're working on it. You know, you're getting something. It's like, I don't have a full announcement, but they know that this is a problem. And again, the mayor at the time, showing you how far this goes back, it was Dinkins, in 1993, signed a memorandum of understanding with Saul Weprin, saying that Rodman's Neck would be soundproofed by 1995. So I am on top. That's why we have the monitoring committee meetings. And part of the memorandum of understanding is that they are required by law, because this thing has the effect of law, because both the speaker and the mayor signed it, that they have to, they should be regularly updating the precinct community council as to what they are doing about sound abatement. So that's why we have utilized the precinct council to get answers. So we're going to have another meeting, and what I'm going to do for our group is I'm going to blast it out to everybody so you all know when the meeting is, because what I would love, it's like the Metro North thing, they know who I am, they've heard what I've had to say. Let's all work together, let's have different voices saying the same thing. That's how you build power.
So my grandkids were just here, and we're known for our food and our restaurants, and we went to 2 different establishments on City Island where we were given plastic straws. And my 14-year-old granddaughter said to me, "Whoa, what's going on here? I thought people understood that plastic straws were not okay." So I'm just wondering if we might begin thinking locally about asking establishments that are here, that are part of our community, to be much more conscious about recycling, about containers for takeout food, and about things like straws, because it's my granddaughter's generation that's going to pay the consequences for this. Thank you.
Very good. Any additional comments, questions, concerns, good news?
This is the time, everybody. You got a question? Anybody?
All right. Then I think we are just about ready to wrap up. Questions from the,
Sorry about that.
from the field?
We have one question. Let's see here. The question is about, I guess, the kids on the bikes riding in the fire lane, weaving in and out of traffic. You know what? I think the best way to deal with this would probably be that if anyone, I guess, knows who the kids are, let's speak to them one-on-one, just because it's dangerous for them too. And that's the way to handle something like that. And then someone else said there's no such thing as automatic weapons. So we'll just accept that. That's their point of view and respect them for that, even though we may disagree. And you know what? Anything else? Anybody, anything else?
All right, looking forward to seeing you guys all August 8th at Man Overboard. Be there.
Thank you.